Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the DM's Guild Review. We've got 5 more adventures to go through, and I can't wait to get started. One more thing before getting into it, there's a lot of these DM's Guild adventures get well over 50 to maybe even 100 pages in their PDFs. So if you guys do want me to review things like that, let me know. But if you do, it'd pretty much be one whole video, because most of the PDFs that I review are between 10 and 30 pages. But now, with that being said, let's get right into the very first adventure. It's Crypt of the Archmage by Daniel Herridge. The Crypt of the Archmage is an adventure heavily influenced by classic Dungeons & Dragons dungeon crawls, but it was made to give players a fighting chance. The adventure takes place in a legendary tomb along the Sword Coast that only shows itself to those who want to find it, and are good enough to get the treasure inside. People say that the tomb has powerful magic items and lots of money in a secret vault protected by deadly traps, tricks, puzzles, and dangerous monsters. The adventure is made for a group of level 4 to 6 players, and about 4 of them at that. Our adventure begins in a foggy graveyard where the players find a tombstone with their name written on it. They must navigate the aisles of headstones to reach an ornate mausoleum atop a hill, where the Archmage's remains are believed to rest. The mausoleum is adorned with statues of the Archmage and has iron doors with gold filigree that are slightly ajar. As the players approach the supposed site of the Archmage's crypt, they are enveloped in thick fog and find themselves in the middle of a massive graveyard. A narrow path leads to an ornate building atop a hill where the Archmage's remains are believed to rest. The mausoleum is protected by a banshee that attacks anyone who steps within 100 feet of the entrance. Inside the mausoleum, a family of 8 mages and warriors rest in the coffin. With a statue sculpted atop each casket lid, the entrance to the crypt below is hidden within the Archmage's coffin. And sliding the golden lid off the casket reveals a 60-foot drop to the crypt entrance. The first room of the dungeon contains a magic puzzle with a riddle that must be solved to unlock the iron doors on either side of the room. The doors are sealed and require a key to unlock them, which can be forged using blood to draw the shape of a key on the wall beneath the inscription. The creatures whose blood was collected will determine how complex the puzzle is, and a grotesque copy of the creature will come out of the puddle in the middle of the room and attack the party. Once the creature is slain, a key on the wall perfectly fits the doors on either side of the room. The party enters a cavernous room in C2 where they encounter a beholder zombie that summons skeletons from the walls to help it fight. In C3, the party navigates through a spider's nest and must pull colored ropes in a specific order to open a sealed door. They must also fight giant spiders that fall from the ceiling in C4. The party comes across a shrine to Myrkul and fights a Deathlock and his 7 zombie disciples. They can also find the unholy symbol of Myrkul, which grants bonuses to evil characters. In C5, the party finds a hidden stairway and a statue of a mage with a crystal ball. The crystal ball can be removed and used to scry on the Archmage. The adventurers find a torch with a green flame in a hallway above a pit of acid. The torch can safely cross the liquid, but when removed, sturges attack the torchbearer. At the end of the hallway is a pedestal with the skull of the Archmage, which is required to open a door in area C11. Removing the skull causes the sturges to turn to ash and liquid, and a door appears leading to area C7. In C7, the adventurers find an illusionary tavern where they can rest, but staying longer than a minute transports them to another part of the dungeon. In C8, the adventurers find a treasure trove that can only be opened with a DC 15 sleight of hand check. But all the items are cursed and turn to ash in sunlight. In C9, the adventurers must solve a riddle to open 3 iron doors, with the door with the door marked safe leading to C10. The adventurers find a room full of musical instruments in room C10. One is the construct control flute, which can temporarily weaken dungeon constructs. The final two parts of the dungeon, C11 and C12, the party must place the Archmage's skull in the indentation on the iron door to enter C11, where they must solve a musical puzzle involving 4 iron giants and drums of different colors. If they play the drums in the correct order, they will open the invisible door leading to C12. The Archmage's lair. The party faces the Archmage's ghost in this room, who protects the treasure. The exact contents of the treasure are up to the DM, and the Archmage is a level 14 spellcaster with natural spellcasting skills, such as the ability to resist magic. So what did you guys think about that adventure? It sounds like a really hardcore old school dungeon crawl, and I might just have to give it a try. And that leads us right into our very next adventure, The Wandering at the Witchlight by Xero Reynolds. The Wandering at the Witchlight is a 5th level Dungeons & Dragons adventure in the Witchlight Carnival and ends in a demi-plane called The Wandering. The adventure emphasizes themes of supernatural horror, puzzle solving, and an out-of-the-box thinking scheme. The players will be introduced to a magical escape room where they will realize that one of their own is in on the scheme. This player has agreed with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light to help test this new attraction in exchange for payment and a free day at the carnival. The adventure can be added to the Wild Beyond the Witchlight campaign or used on its own. In Act 2, the characters will start to notice strange things like colors that aren't as bright and ghostly visions of the past. The adventure has puzzles that might frustrate the players, so the DM should be ready to give them hints or clues to help them move forward. The first part of the adventure takes place at the Witchlight Carnival, where the players can play games and go on rides like the strength test. However, things suddenly change when the carnival is pulled into a space called The Wandering, and the colors start to fade and people vanish. The players are approached by Mr. Light, a co-owner of the carnival, who explains that Mr. Witch has vanished, and they need to find him to return home. Mr. Shadow, a new figure, emerges and offers them a chance to play his game, where they must face 3 challenges and collect 3 keys to leave. He hints at how to solve the first challenge without fighting and tells them to go to the House of Silence, please, where the mime puzzle is. As the players get closer to the House of Silence, please, they run into 4 creatures that look like mimes and stand in their way. In combat, the players can defeat them, but the key to solving the puzzle is to mimic what the mimes are doing to help, such as opening an umbrella or pretending to unlock a door. Once all problems are solved, the mimes will bow and point towards the house's open door, and the last mime will offer a crystal bottle filled with a bright red liquid called life. If the players defeat the mimes through combat, they will leave behind the bottle. After this encounter, the players can enter the house and proceed to Act 2. In Act 2 of the adventure, the group enters a tent and meets a machine that predicts the future. The players must write history on a blank page to activate the machine. After it reads out a fortune for each party member, they are given 5 small slips of paper with words on them. These words are clues that will help the players with an upcoming puzzle. The clues are bashful, forest dweller, cleverly, dexterous, meet at, and my tomb. The party then approaches a haunted graveyard with 16 tombstones with words carved into them. The solution to the puzzle is to use the words on the tombstones to recreate a sentence using only words with Y vowels. The sentence is, bashful forest dweller cleverly, dexterously met at my tomb. Once this is said, the mausoleum doors open, revealing an hourglass with the words "time is short" inscribed. The party enters the unmerry-go-round, which turns out to be an encounter they must win by attacking the crystal that holds Mr. Witch while avoiding the spiked beasts. If they are successful, they move on to the final section, where they receive a carnival ticket and must answer the riddle. Life is short, have fun, to escape Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. Explain that the wandering is their creation and serves as a testing ground for new attractions and an insurance policy against outside forces. If the party fails the encounter, they awaken in the same landscape as before and must speak with Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. So that sounds like a crazy wild ride and something you could really add into the Witchlight campaign if you guys were gonna run it. I actually happen to have it right behind me here. You can't see it in the format that I'm in, but I happen to have it. And then we're gonna be rolling into the very next adventure. That's Follow the Lights by Mauro Gotsch. To begin the adventure, the party joins Aradel Hoyt, a gnomish scholar and archaeologist who believes he has found a way to cheat death by locating a lighthouse on the border between life and the afterlife. The lighthouse's light is said to grant eternal life and wisdom to anyone who bathes in it. Aradel has been looking at old books and writings and thinks that the lighthouse is in the Cave of Lights, which is underground. The adventurers must adventure through the cave with Ardell to discover if his theories are correct. The adventure is divided into several encounters across 3 sections of the cave. In the first encounter, the party must solve a riddle to enter the cave, while in the second encounter, they must navigate a cavern filled with shadows. The party must choose between an easy path with no light or a difficult path with a fixed torch to proceed through the cavern. The encounter ends if the party flees or all the shadows are dead. In the next part of the adventure, the group has to wade through cold water and face a waterfall and a gate of sacrifice, among other things. They finally get to the Cave of Lights, where they find their way through an invisible maze while shadows and wisps chase them. The wisps try to distract the party while sneaking up on them, and Aradel warns them that the wisps can instantly kill any unconscious player. Wading through the cold water in the cave, they face many dangers, slippery rocks, caverns full of stalactites, and a waterfall. Any of these things could require con saving throws to continue. They eventually reach the Gate of Sacrifice, where one player becomes trapped and must choose someone to sacrifice to pass through the gate. The players then reach the Cave of Lights, facing will-o-wisps and shadows in an invisible labyrinth. After reaching the Cave of Light, facing will-o-wisps and shadows in the invisible labyrinth, on the third island they encounter the Frozen Shadow, a powerful monster that can only move within the shadows, and to reach the tower they must pass through a fire door. And finally, they must sacrifice something of value to enter the tower. In the final section of the adventure, the party reaches the top of the tower and finds a flying orb giving off a cold light. A tiny crystalline ball filled with a transparent liquid acts as a lens for the orb's light, and Aradel warns the players not to touch anything. But he secretly drinks a potion of speed and plans to kill the party to claim the bottle for himself. If the players make it out alive, they must decide whether to become immortal or use the bottle to heal the whole group. The reward depends on the final decision. If each party member is given a sip, they will be fully healed and regain any lost limbs. With the lens gone, the spirits in the region will become restless, and the party must find a way to escape the Cavern of Light. So that sounds like a super crazy adventure, everybody. Giving your players a lot of different moral choices, even against the players, might be kind of interesting at your table. But don't worry, in the PDF they give you several options, so that way you don't have to introduce something that you might find problematic at your table. So you're good. They got you in the PDF. Rolling right into the very next adventure, we've got A Dark Veil Falls by Kristjan Matthiasson. The adventure takes place in a village of Mire Hall, located inside the Wolf Pine Forest. The village, which is close to the town of Talbot, is primarily home to trappers, hunters, and lumberjacks. The forest often has a wide variety of game, but strange sounds are often heard from the deep forest as well. As a returning character from a few of our previous stories, Charisse and the mayor of the village ask the players to save a family that had been taken by a group of kobolds, who are very brave and cruel. The adventurer will lead them into a dark part of Wolf Pine Forest. In the first part of the adventure, the wizard Charisse talks to the players and gives them healing potions. He then tells them to check out the ruins west of the village. Charisse has seen a group of kobolds go into the ruins and thinks they might be able to tell him where they live. The players are also asked to confront any kobolds they might find and bring back any magical remnants that they come across, as far as travel goes. The journey to the ruins will take about 2 days. The players arrive at the old fortification that is now in a state of disrepair. They see evidence of recent activity with campfires and trash scattered all around. As they explore the ruins, they find little interest in the rooms and halls above ground. However, they come across 3 kobold corpses staked outside an entrance as a warning. If the players choose to enter, they descend the stairs and find a cold-blooded, spattered room with 3 unlocked doors. One of the doors leads to the hallway with a trail of dried blood, while the other 2 open in storage areas filled with barrels. If the players search one of the rooms, they can find a small stash of silver pieces hidden in one of the barrels. Your players may find a kobold hiding in a wobbling barrel in another storage room, and if they capture the kobold, it tells them about demons that attacked and ate all of its packmates, and mentions a priest who leads the kobolds. The kobolds insist on leaving and going with the players, but will slip away at the first sign of battle if forced to come with them. Following a trail of blood, the players enter a room with an altar in the middle of a pile of kobold bodies, and in the corner, suddenly 4 undead kobolds rise from the pile and attack the players. After the battle, the players find a gem-encrusted dagger on the altar, worth about 100 gold, and 2 doors on the other side of the room, one of which appears to have broken from behind. The players enter a room that appears to be a study. With a desk, bookcase, a chest, they find a magic spell book and a pouch of gold coins on the desk, a human corpse in the corner with a ring of mind shielding, and a locked chest. If they open the chest, they find a large sum of gold and a gem of brightness. The players then come across a broken segment of the wall in another room, which leads to a tunnel where they are surprised by 2 ghouls. They then go into a vast, misty cavern where they find deadly kobolds, which suggest a battle. There are 2 exits from the cavern, one of which is narrow and leads to a pedestal with glowing runes and a missing gilded claw. Several kobold bodies surround the pedestal and 2 ghouls attack the players from the shadows. Finally, the players reach another area of the cavern where a battle is taking place and debris is blocking their way, causing a dead end. Finally, the players get to another cavern. After making their way and defeating the enemies, the players are given the choice to head to the tower to return to the village, where Charisse and the priest of Shanti will meet them. If they choose to head to the tower, they will have to unlock the doors or bash them down to enter, and inside the tower they will find kobold guards and a lot of furniture and well-dressed kobolds doing a horrible ritual. The sorcerer will transform into a human, attacking the players and fleeing after sustaining much damage. The players will find a small case with potions and a bag of gold. Returning home for your treasure, they will find Charisse with open arms, with experience, rest, and a basket of food for their travels later. So that was another sequel to the adventures that we've featured recently, and if you did think that one was exciting, go ahead and leave that down in the comments. Next up is going to be Satyr's Sin by Nature Revolts. This adventure takes place in Fey Bridge, a village known for its connection to the Fey Wild. Unfortunately, the relations with the Fey have deteriorated and they have not been seen in almost a decade. The adventure hook can be flexible with infinite possibilities on the road to the Fey Bridge, but some ideas for hooks include looking into a nearby town's lack of supplies or a druid's observation of strange, unnatural energy. To create some tension, the adventure allows for turning on the aggression of normally docile creatures, such as small animals that can attack in packs. For example, a group of normal cats could create an easy-to-solve problem that keeps the adventure going and going. This adventure split up into a few parts, part 1 being, oh dear, an ambush. Starting with the player characters traveling in a mule-drawn wagon along the path to the Fey Bridge. This is the time for introducing the characters and setting the tone for the adventure. Suddenly, a herd of deer and elk stamped out of the woods, and 2 deer ambushed the cart, trying to free the mule and attacking the party if provoked. The group's job is to look into the Fey Bridge, a nearby village that no longer has a direct link to the Feywilds. The trip to the Fey Bridge is primarily uneventful, though 1 or 2 people in the group may feel like they are being watched. In part 2 of the adventure, the party arrives in Fey Bridge Village to find it strangely deserted and silent, except for a half-elf man who seems to be under a Fey charm. If they look into it, they will see a herd of horses that have gone crazy, attacking the village and destroying it. The party can also enter the inn and speak with the innkeeper, who believes that the Fey have something to do with the recent animal attacks. After the stampede, the villagers won't trust the party, but they will ask them to check out Fey Bridge and the deep forest beyond it. The party can try to burn away the overgrown plants blocking the entrance to the forest, which leads to the Feywild. The party can hear faint music drifting in the wind further down the path. In the third part of the adventure, the party encounters a satyr named Sam. Playing his panpipes in the woods, the party may end up being affected by the satyr's panpipe ability, causing them to fall sleepy, feel fear, or become charmed. Sam explains that the villagers' hatred of the Fey has caused them to turn against nature, leading to the disappearance of a farmer and his lumberjacks after they cut down a tree on the Grassy Creek goat farm. Sam asks the party to help him confront the dryad responsible for the disappearance. The party can accept or decline Sam's help, and if they accept, he leads them across a fallen bridge to the farm. In part 4, the party approaches the Grassy Creek goat farm and sees the fallen tree stump. If Sam the Satyr is still alive, he says to talk about a plan before going into the pasture. Since the goat seems to be hiding their hostility, if he is dead, his body is impaled on a giant goat near the fence. When the party enters the pasture, the goats charge furiously. Once any of them are damaged, charmed, frightened, or slept, the angry dryad arrives from the stump of the fallen tree. After losing her tree, she is crazed and maniacal and hates Sam the Satyr. The party must defeat her and the hostility of the animals in the region. To end the adventure, the party enters the Grassy Creek goat farm and confronts the dryad who has been inspiring the animals to attack the villagers. If Sam is alive, he will warn the party about the hostility and the goats, using his panpipes to charm them. If he is dead, the party must fight the goats and dryad without warning. After defeating the dryad, a curse is released from Sam, turning him back into a human farmer who has sold the tree out of greed, if he's still alive. He thanks the party for their help and explains that he felt something dark approaching from far away. If Sam is dead, the group will have to go back to the village and tell the noble they met before about the dryad's last words. The noble will then give them discounts and help them in any way he seems necessary. So that seems like a really cool adventure, and I really love Fae-themed adventures. They really give life to some of the monsters that you always hack and slash in normal adventures, and I love that. So if you guys like those adventures, leave down in the comments if you've played them, which ones you like the best, or, what adventures I should review next. But until next time, everybody, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see you later.